I mentioned ESPN at the top of the show because the Four Nations were face-off final was a big talking point of the day over on ESPN. But later in the day, the news broke. I think Awful Announcing was the one who broke the news. But then ESPN put out a statement, and Major League Baseball put out a statement. I thought this was shocking, and then I thought about the ramifications, and then I wasn't quite as surprised. But the word came out that Major League Baseball and ESPN have mutually agreed to opt out of their TV deal with one another. I believe it was going to run through 2028, and they're opting out early. So here's the statement from ESPN PR. We are grateful for our long-standing relationship with Major League Baseball and proud of how ESPN's coverage super serves fans. In making this decision, we applied the same discipline and fiscal responsibility that has built ESPN's industry-leading live events portfolio as we continue to grow our audience across linear, digital, and social platforms. As we have been throughout the process, we remain open to exploring new ways to serve MLB fans across our platforms beyond 2025. So that was ESPN's statement. And I have to be honest with you, in a weird way, I feel like this is a potential win-win for the league and for the network. It doesn't happen a lot. It's really rare that you find something like it. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to both benefit from getting out of this deal. Now, I'm going to pull up Major League Baseball's response, or their separate statement, and then we'll kind of break this down a little bit because I think it's fair. Major League Baseball says, we have had a long and mutually beneficial partnership with ESPN that dates back to its first game in 1990. Unfortunately, in recent years, we have seen ESPN scale back their baseball coverage and invest in a way that is not consistent with the sport's appeal or performance on their platform. Given that MLB provides strong viewership, valuable demographics, and the exclusive right to cover unique events like the Home Run Derby, ESPN's demand to reduce rights fees is simply unacceptable. As a result, we have mutually agreed to terminate our agreement. Entering the 2025 season, MLB is enjoying tremendous momentum led by generational talent on the field and an entertaining brand of baseball due to rule changes which have improved the pace of play and action on the field. The results have generated increases in attendance, viewership, streaming, international growth, and overall fan engagement. The positive energy around the sport has also led to significant interest from both traditional media companies and streaming services who would like to obtain rights to MLB games. We will be exploring these opportunities for a new agreement, which would start in the 2026 season, following the conclusion of ESPN's agreement at the end of this year. The MLB-ESPN partnership has been an important and long-standing relationship that has helped both organizations achieve great success. As we get ready for the 36th season of Sunday Night Baseball, we look forward to a successful final year of MLB on ESPN in 2025. End of statement. Okay. JH got it. Carnival Barker. Good job. Yes. Here's what I think happened. Okay. Now, I have been known from time to time as a resident baseball hater. I am not a baseball hater. I don't like bad baseball. I like good baseball. The NBA has the rights to the NBA, or sorry, ESPN has the rights to the NBA. They have rights to the NHL. They had a very expensive Monday Night Football package. They brought in the likes of Troy Aikman and Joe Buck and Pat McAfee. They laid off some people. I don't think Major League Baseball fits what ESPN's doing anymore. I really don't. And I get that attendance may be up. Major League Baseball is going to argue that viewership is up. I just don't think it fits what ESPN's doing anymore. Now, is there a scenario here where we could maybe see a reworked deal where ESPN does Sunday Night Baseball and that's it, right? Maybe there's a studio show, but that's it. Maybe. Do they view the value add of Sunday Night Baseball as being something that they can't live without? I don't know. I will tell you that the NHL could probably give you a little bit of insight into what happens when ESPN doesn't own the rights to your league. They will not actively talk about you nearly as much as you want them to. And if you don't think that ESPN can be petty and turn the MLB regular season into talking about the NFL nonstop, about NBA trade rumors around and plus the draft and everything else, you're sorely mistaken. Now, I don't expect that like ESPN is somehow, some way going to become like a big MLS supporter, especially since that entire league's package for the most part has moved off to Apple TV. But like, I don't think that the kind of content that ESPN needs to make aligns with what Major League Baseball is. And notice that they said linear because cord cutters are having a significant impact on cable and satellite subscribers. So you have that. Streaming, well, sure. But I would assume that if they're citing streaming, it means that on ESPN Plus and wherever Major League Baseball has been available, those numbers, something must be showing them the viewing audience just isn't as big as they want. Social is where MLB has struggled for a long time because they are very restrictive about you using their footage in any kind of content. I just don't think that it makes sense anymore for ESPN to be in the baseball business. And I could be wrong. I don't think I am, though. Some will argue, and I'm sure baseball purists will argue, that there's nothing quite like knowing that you can tune into ESPN every Sunday night. Baseball Tonight was always a really big thing. The changes that they've made to the broadcast, not exactly the best. It has kind of felt like ESPN sort of checked out of Major League Baseball. I would guess that they have done enough internal polling and enough internal data review to say, you know what, we could get a similar number running an NFL countdown show or running an NFL live show or talking about potential trade rumors in the NBA. We can get a similar audience at a much lower cost because you don't have to have the carriage fees. You don't have to have the rights to the league. They probably did the math and said we can do other programming and get the same result as what you could get through having Major League Baseball. And they ultimately decided it's not worth it. Now, again, they might come back and have a separate agreement. And maybe it's a Sunday Night Baseball only thing. I don't know. But then it becomes, where do you go for Major League Baseball? Because in fairness, if I were at Major League Baseball and I saw that my main partner in ESPN was neglecting my sport, I'd probably want to get out too. So where do they go? Could an Apple TV, which as I mentioned before has Major League Soccer, where they took all of Major League Soccer, like you used to be able to watch Union games on PHL 17. You now have to go over to Apple TV Plus to watch those games unless there's a nationally televised game, I think on FS1 and occasionally on Fox. But like the entire league, for the most part, has moved over to Apple TV Plus. Could we see a scenario where Major League Baseball says, you know what? Fine. We're going to go to an Apple TV Plus. We're going to go to a Netflix, which continues to get into more and more live sports. And whether you want to call it a sport or just entertainment or whatever, Monday Night Raw has been very successful over on Netflix. That's now a weekly show live. They had the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. They're trying to get into live sports. Could Netflix swoop in and try to pick something up? Could a Peacock try to swoop in and get live games? Could we, and by the way, I mentioned Apple TV, like they already have a deal in place with Apple TV, right? Because it drives some people nuts about having to try to find the Phillies game. Like, could they expand on that partnership? Entirely possible. Could an Amazon Prime, could Amazon look to swoop in and pick up some kind of an MLB package? It's entirely possible. There are so many options. And here's the negative. If you're a fan, the days of you being on your cable box and being able to just kind of, flip the channel, right? I think, it was either Jon Stewart or Bill Maher last week or the week before. They were complaining about the remote and about how like on cable, you used to be able to just hit the last button to go back to the prior channel. But now if you're on YouTube TV, you kind of hit this one, you hit that one, you go to that sub menu and then you click and then you hope that it takes you to the game. All that kind of stuff. It is going to be expensive for baseball fans if you are now going to have multiple streaming services to watch your games. Now, I'm going to put a bold take out there, and you can mark this, you can bookmark it, you can circle it, you can highlight it, whatever. I don't think that a lot of these regional sports networks that continue to carry games are going to survive a lot longer. I don't. Remember, a lot of networks went under. Bally's took them on. Then FanDuel took a bunch of regional sports networks on. I just don't see a market where it makes sense and where the business sense makes sense to have those networks in place. I think that within the next 5 years, you're going to see a massive cratering of regional sports networks. And it wouldn't surprise me that if in the next 5 or 10 years, Major League Baseball consolidates the entire sport, just like Major League Soccer did, and they sell it to the highest bidder, and that you have to pay $400 a year to Amazon to get every game, right? So it's every single game, every single market, no blackouts, but that's how you're going to consume baseball. $400, you don't have to have a cable package, you just have to have the internet. There you go. $400, you get every Major League Baseball game. Does that appeal to you as a fan? I don't know. If you compare your cable bill or your cord-cutting bill, and you're watching your YouTube TV price go up, and the only sport that you really care about is baseball, is $400 for the year a bad price? Probably not. But they're going to have to also try to weigh here what's good financial sense and what's stupid. I just don't know what they're going to do. But I do think I think Major League Baseball is going to go more streaming. I don't see a scenario where you get like TNT saying, yes, we're going to come in. Now, remember, TNT has the NHL. Again, sports or entertainment. They do have AEW that has a show on TNT and one on TBS. Could you see a scenario where TNT maybe tries to step up and say, we want to take over the ESPN package? That's going to help us kind of replace the NBA. Sure, it's not at the same time of year, but you're still trying to have a valuable sports league in your portfolio. Maybe. I don't see it, but maybe. If they do, I'd also expect that that's going to have some ramifications and could have a ripple effect when it comes to Max, their streaming platform. Like, maybe they're the dark horse. Maybe they're the ones to keep an eye on. But, like, other than that, I don't know. I do think that ultimately Major League Baseball is going to get more money and probably get better exposure on whatever streaming platform they go to. I do expect that. I think that they will ultimately feel like their sport is being treated better and with more respect and with more attention than what they were getting from ESPN. And I think ESPN is going to enjoy the savings that they get from not having to pay for it and for a product that they just don't feel like aligns with the vision of where their brand is going forward.